Hi, welcome to Do It Yourself with Logus. Today, I'll be replacing a battery for a Macbook Pro, which is a 13-inch model A1708. So these models still don't have everything like soldered down to the plate or like the unibody, the aluminum unibody. So it might be pretty straightforward to do this. So what I did is I got this kit from Amazon. It's a Macbook Pro high performance laptop batteries. It's really just non-original, let's say. So it's not from Apple, but it's actually pretty decent. So far the reviews just gave it a good rating. So let's take a look at what's in the box here. First of all, we got the battery, which has like this nice connector, which will come into the logic board. We have a pair of screwdrivers for removing like the screws on the unibody, and then we got like a user manual, maybe some steps to follow through, and of course the kit with the actual things that we need for replacing the battery. So first of all, got a nice pair of gloves, which we're gonna use right now. Let's see if this actually facilitates the work. It will also look a little bit better in the sense of not leaving any fingerprints in, or not damaging any part of the circuits that might be sensitive to electrical charges that we also carry in our bodies somehow. So anyway, and maybe some clothes to protect the material because we will need to use this to remove the battery because it's glued to the unibody. And then also this, which maybe will help us separate, this will help us separate the case, the top case, the part that is below the Macbook Pro, the cover, let's say, where it will expose all the parts that we need to remove. All right, so let's start with the screwdrivers. Just gonna go ahead and open this up real quick. I'm not sure why there are two of these. Let's see if we will actually need those. Okay. So here we go. I've watched a couple other videos regarding replacing these batteries, and it seems that removing the bottom cover is not that straightforward. A lot of people recommend using a suction cup or something related just to be able to lift the first part of, or any part of the cover, so that then we can use this spudger or whatever to remove the rest of the edges. Let's see how we do now. All right. So far, I don't see any major differences in the screwdrivers. One of them might be like a T5. The other one seems almost the same. Let's see. Maybe we'll need those down the road. Okay, so this is what I meant. When it comes to the unibody, it's not going to pop up immediately. It's not easy. For that, we will probably need the suction cup. And we're back. All right, finally, I was able to find the suction cup I was telling you about, which is actually going to help us complete the job, hopefully. So now we removed all the screws from the bottom cover, and what I've seen in the videos, they recommend this like either from this or this side. In their case, they did it from this side. Let's see if it works. I'm not going to. You see, Very nice. Yeah, it definitely works. So it starts separating, and from there you can already use the spudger to start lifting the cover, which is pretty much useful. Yes, excellent. All right. So now I'm gonna help myself with a second spudger to just completely split the edges from the bottom cover and the rest of the computer's body. Yeah, so you have to be careful when doing this. It's not like you would ruin the equipment, but just there are sometimes flex cables on the edges that are connected to the antennas and stuff, so be as careful as you can. Interesting. Okay, so far so good. You were able to split all this, and now I'm going to continue with this other side here. Yeah, it seems that there are some small dents that help the cover be airtight. Okay, so far so good. And now we should just lift it a little bit more. Be careful not to bend the aluminium. Huh, interesting. In the videos I saw that you have to press a little bit, push from this side. So definitely, oh, okay, yes, that worked perfectly fine. Nice. Okay, so even though it was kind of trivial, this one was tricky because, as you could see, it was not that straightforward, neither that difficult. So as you can see, regular usage will bring a lot of dust and debris. So I'm gonna find a brush to just start removing all this. All right. As a recommendation, please tell your cats to stay away from your computers, because they kind of love it to just sit on top of the keyboard and remain warm. All right. So now we're gonna use this brush to just clean the surface a little bit. Be very gentle, even though the circuits here are very well soldered, so they are kind of meant for manipulation. For some, it's not incredibly delicate. Regardless of that, always do things with care. Okay, so now the next step is to disconnect and expose the different connections here, because we'll have to remove the connection from the trackpad. As you can see, this flex cable goes below the battery to access the trackpad, and because we're going to use this to remove the battery and we're going to force it upwards, we're probably going to apply some force against the backside of the battery. So we don't want to do that while the trackpad's on, because that will increase the chances of the trackpad of getting damaged. Okay, so first thing, actually the first thing is to remove the battery connector, because that will, while the battery is connected, there's always a risk of damage. So let's check, remove the battery data cable, it says. Actually, it says that the first step should be to remove the trackpad cable, so I think we're safe. Let's go ahead and do that. Now I see. So the blue screwdriver is actually for the bolts that are apart from the bottom case, and the green one, it's better for this kind of screws that are inside, that are going against the logic board. So yeah, so this is like a metallic cover for this, and now we could use the spudger to gently apply some pressure. Yeah, and the flex cable from the trackpad is now disconnected. I'm just going to clean it because it's very dirty. And all this debris makes the machine get warmer, and that degrades the battery. There's another connector from this point on, but I think it's better that we just fully uncover. This is a sticker which reveals the connectors from the battery, so we're just gonna keep it on the side, and I believe we have to remove all of this. We're just gonna use the spudger again. Please proceed with maximum caution. Yes. As you can see, this is a sticker that uncovers this cable, which you can just pull, but be very careful when doing so, because you might break the connectors. All right. So just a gentle pull did the job. You can actually lift this small, there's like a lid that helps this cable stay firmly attached to the board. Okay, so what's the next step? So the instructions telling us to remove the battery data cable. That's the battery data cable. Then remove the battery power interface screw. So there is a screw somewhere here. I guess it's this big one. So we're going to proceed with this one. Okay, so now we're good. We removed the screw. Remove the battery protection plate retaining screws. Okay. Interesting. The battery protection plate containing screws. Okay, I'm gonna have to come back for that, so bear with me. And we're back. Okay, so I figured it out. I'm gonna make a close up here. So as you can notice here, below this flex cable, there is another connector which has a small latch, which we have to do the same thing as this other side. And that's just gonna help us fully remove the flex cable here. So I just, yes, and now we were able to remove the flex cable fully. I know that putting it back together is going not to be difficult, but just a little bit very tiny work. So the last part of disconnecting things is we have to remove two screws that are covered by this. This is the water detector, as I've heard. So they just recommend to remove this, because either way we'll have to go in and remove the screws. So first screw here, this is just going to release all of this chip with this part of the battery. And regarding the other one, it is covered by like a rubber, small rubber cover. And now we exposed the screw, and we're just going to remove that as well. Very nice. Okay. Okay, we got a bunch of screws now. One of the things here is there is this small thing just keeping this in place. So that's the next part here. So for that, bear with me a little bit. And we're back. Okay, so the last part of this, before we start removing the adhesive below the battery, is to just take the flex cable from the trackpad and very slowly and carefully start removing it. It's glued to the battery, so you just always gotta go very close to where you're pulling from, not use too much force, and eventually just split it from the battery. And here comes probably the most tedious part, which nobody likes doing, but it is the prying of the battery. And just because it's glued, you will want to take all the time you need in order to do this, because you don't want to damage anything. So technically what they recommend, it's that you go from all the sides and just start going in a little bit, pry a little bit, but don't go like too aggressive on the material. Luckily the prior is like plastic, so that helps protect the aluminum, because it's not going to damage it. Okay, so far it's not moving too much, so we'll just try to go from all the sides here. Also, they recommend using alcohol to ease the glue that is. It has like some glue strips below the battery that just are very attached to the material. So from this side, it's really not easy to reach. And these are like the, let's say, the easier sides, because the one in the middle is the one that we should worry about, since the trackpad's down there. Okay, so I feel like I can go in comfortably now from this side. It is already giving in a little bit, but as you can see, the prior, it's already pretty much suffering from this operation. Okay, I can feel how much is giving in slowly, so that's a good sign. Just keep being patient. Some people will prefer to just go very aggressive on the battery. It might not be that bad because anyway you're replacing it, but for whatever reason, in case the replacement battery that you got is not in good state, or for some reason it doesn't work, you might want to fall back to this one, to the original one. You don't want to fully destroy it, just in case, unless really it can hold to no charge. And so as you can see, this is already given in, but of course the battery is starting to lose shape, to bend. Okay, this is not bad at all. I can see already me reaching 75% of this side. Okay, maybe I can show you how this is looking from the side. Now we'll try to reach this other side. Yeah, I think I was able to lift most of this side already. It wasn't really that difficult. I expected it to be the glue to present a lot more resistance. I can now comfortably go under it, and yeah, this first part already was completely detached. So yeah, the material is flexible. It's almost like dough. So we're already 33% with this. Let's do the same for this other side. My strategy was to go from both these sides. So for now, this is pretty good. I'm not gonna force it too much right now. Then I go from the other side a little bit. And as you can see, the strips are actually in this direction, and there are 3 of them. They are equally distributed across the area where the battery is located. So right now I feel I'm going below the first strip, glue strip, and that's pretty much already separated. Yeah. So actually this has been a lot easier than I've experienced before with other models. This is the 1708 MacBook Pro, and actually I already feel that I split this second part. It feels like it's already done. From this side there's not much more to do. Maybe just going in. Yeah. This is actually the perfect tool to do this. I've seen a lot of people use a type of alcohol that also comes with these kits, not all the times. Yeah, as you can see, this was also quite easily removed. So now comes not the hard part, but let's say the most delicate part, which is this one, because trackpad is located under. I don't know if there is a way to remove the trackpad right now. Most people recommend that. So actually, give me a minute. I'm gonna take a break so that I can see what's the best way to remove the trackpad before we start applying the force with the prior. All right, so we're back. So now that we're going to start operating between the components, meaning that we're going to remove this plate that's containing the trackpad so that we don't damage it. We just put in this nice cloth that came with the kit in between the screen and the keyboard. Okay, so what we need to do is actually remove screws from the sides. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 on each side and 2 in the middle to be able to remove this trackpad, which is keeping it in place right now. So let's go ahead and which one is the one we need? Nope. I think it's this green one. Yeah. All right. So I'm just placing all these screws in an orderly manner so that I can remember how to put them back. There are multiple sizes of these screws, and when you're disassembling these, you should put them, at least group them so that you always remember where they go back in. Because there are many steps and you might not fully remember. Okay, here we go. Okay, 4 are up. Let's now do the other 4 on this side. All right, one more to go on this side, and after that we can just unscrew the 2 remaining ones from the bottom. Okay, so these are the remaining screws on the bottom that are holding the trackpad in place. Now we're hoping that after this, we're able to remove the trackpad. Just a sec. Okay, so basically the last step, I didn't do anything else. It was just lifting the lid, and because those 8 screws were already out, actually 10 screws, 4 on each side and 2 the ones below, we're now able to lift the lid, and the trackpad remains in place. And yeah, this is great because now we can be more confident of how we proceed when it comes to prying the battery from the aluminum body. I'm just gonna use this opportunity to clean a little bit because there's a lot of dust and debris. Okay. All right. Now we can confidently apply more pressure on this battery because we know that the trackpad is safe. Wait. Let's take a look from below. Yeah, exactly. So this is the battery. Let me show you from this side. So the issue would have been that if I just did it on the trackpad and I would have pried there, I would have damaged the trackpad, as you can see. Because there's a blind spot, you don't see where you are applying the force. I think now the best way to proceed is because everything's been exposed. We can see where the battery is, and I can just start going in here to start separating these glue strips, and from there I can continue now from the back. Very nice. The glue is giving in very nicely. It's not presenting any resistance like you've seen the other 2 sides. Probably the first side was the one that presented most resistance. Okay, so I think I'm almost done here. I'm really hoping that I didn't miss any part and I'm not damaging this in any way, but I think the trackpad was the only thing that was on the way, let's say. Okay, perfect. Now I have completely separated this, and we can gently set aside the original battery. Amazing. Yeah, so as you can see, this is how they apply these strips of glue, which are pretty good. And to be honest, I expected a lot more resistance from this, but it was not a hard task to accomplish. Now I see why we had to remove that cable. The flex cable will eventually need to go back there on the new battery. So now what they recommend is to just completely, or at least have a good clean on this part. It's a little bit of a hassle because these glue strips are just not going away, but let's just try to clean it up as much as we can before we put the new battery. And you will wonder why, if we can just glue them on top, but it might have to do with the reason that heat will probably make it worse for the battery in case of this. Okay, so let's now take a look before we move on and try to remove all that glue. We'll try to take a look at the new battery and see what kind of way it has to glue. If it has the exact same thing, okay, yes. So as you can see, It comes with all those strips as the original one. Very nice. So this seems pretty straightforward. What I will do is just remove all this, or maybe do one at a time, but that will make it a little bit difficult. So I guess what makes sense is once we clean up all of this, we'll just remove the three of them, the three of these plastics, and just put it all at once, like this, for example, starting at some point and just however, we have to consider that this part needs to lock in below this. So actually we might start from this side, and then yeah, exactly. So you see, the best thing you can do is like work on a strategy before you actually do it. That way you don't have to waste the glue or anything. That way you can make sure that everything fits perfectly before you seal the deal. Okay, so I'll take a minute to remove the glue. I mean the glue strips, the old glue strips, so that I will just proceed with the new ones. Alright, so we're back, and I've noticed that actually removing the glue strips shouldn't be a problem, shouldn't take much time. You just gotta use the prying tool and start from one of the sides. Of course from the larger side, and just keep applying pressure while you go forward, and that will pretty much remove the glue strip. So because now we are applying force on top of the aluminum with the plastic, there is no danger whatsoever, and it's pretty straightforward and easy to do this, as you can see. Okay, that was one. Let's continue with the next one. So let's talk about what do-it-yourself with Logus is. I'll tell you a little bit about me. I've always been a tech fan, and coming from a country where it's not easy to find things like, say, replacement parts or just technology itself, latest versions of things, it always kind of pushed me into learning how I can make the best out of what I have. If I have like a malfunction, how to troubleshoot it, and eventually one gathers enough knowledge and just starts doing everything on its own. So I would encourage self-repair is something that most people should do, because there is a lot of waste already in the world. And I'm not talking about the environment, it's more like a mindset. So yeah, I mean, companies make good money out of just selling you a new computer, and of course you'll want also every year to replace your computer with the latest that's trending, but that might not be an ideal case. You might not be squeezing every dollar that you paid for this computer if you're not really learning what it can do, how easy it would be to just do this kind of things. It will take less than an hour, and you gotta go like another 1,000 charging cycles, which is probably like in the ears. So pricing, replacing this compared to Apple Care, which I'm not sure they will even try to do. They will probably just give you a total new computer same year. I don't know, like, to them just moving a finger, it's so expensive that I don't know if they will actually do this kind of work. So I will always encourage people to do it yourself, find the tools. There are a lot of things, especially if you live in first world countries where there's e-commerce, or any other country really that has access to replacement parts that you can order. You can compare everything on the internet. The pricing for this battery was around 57 euro here in Germany. And to be honest, there were a lot other options which were more expensive. And just because they came, let's say, with the isopropylic alcohol to make it a little bit easier to remove this part, this glued part, the price increased like in 40, so it was around 80 something or even 90 bucks, 90 euro for almost the same thing. So yeah, always go do a good research. It doesn't have to be like an hour research. In 20 minutes you can easily figure out what's the most effective and efficient way to use your money and your resources to make the best out of the equipment that you have already. Now this is a 2017 equipment, and we even got it like on second hand. But so far, the way that we have been using it here at my home, it's just proven to not need a newer one yet. Mainly it was just this battery issue. So this version already has the USB-C ports, so pretty much is compatible with Thunderbolt, power delivery, all the standards USB-C protocols. You can transmit data, power, audio, everything through these cables, through these ports. So probably the only downside is that this model doesn't include the MagSafe, which is actually a comeback from previous versions, which is not really innovation. So yeah, that will be the only point against this machine, I would say. You can actually, I think, even expand the disc. I'm not sure if this is the soldered version. Maybe it might be, but it might be the case that you can still expand the disc here. So older versions actually are not that bad, unless of course you want to fully move to the silicon chip, which is actually pretty decent and manages energy better, because it gives you more performance per watt, which is what all is about in the end. So it heats less and uses less energy for better output and more processing. And yeah, that's the future so far, the present and the future. But that shouldn't prevent you from making the best out of what you already got. So probably I'm gonna edit out the part of the video which is very annoying and slow. I can notice that this strip in the middle, it's not giving in as easily as the ones from this side. So yeah, let's try with the bottom one. For some reason it seems that this part was exposed to more heat, probably. Just gonna try maybe with a harder material. Okay, it's working, but gee, the amount of elbow grease here. Now this is a workout, guys. Let me maybe start from, or continue with the ones on the side. Hopefully they are a little bit easier. Yeah, absolutely. These ones are much more easily giving in. All right. Sorry for all that camera movements. There's just a lot of force put into this. Yeah, work smarter, not harder, they say, but some things just require elbow grease. Here we go. Surprisingly, this other side also is not as giving as the first one, but for sure it gives in more than the middle. The middle part is just probably gonna be like the final monster of this chapter. Amazing. That's great. Okay, let's continue now with this. This is the fifth strip. What I like about recording all of this is that, well, most of the videos don't really show you the full length, because most people will be interested in just knowing how to do it, like what's the steps and what are the key factors of replacing a battery, let's say. But I'm just want to log maybe the amount of time that it took, which is over an hour already. So yeah, depending on how much you consider your work is valued in versus time, or you might consider whether this is actually a good investment or a smart way of using your time. At some point someone has to do it. If we don't want to just make computers like a paper cup that we'll just use for a minute or two and get rid of it. Okay, so the fifth, it's almost fully removed. Now we're going for the sixth glue strip. In most cases, I will think that people, because as humans we are kind of lazy, right? So we don't like this effort for no reason. We just want to get the fun. The fun is to use the computer, maybe even like replace the battery, but this part of the job is already maybe only for obsessive compulsive neat freaks like myself. As a user, you will want this, but if you were to do it yourself, would you do it? That's the question. Okay. So we're almost done with this sixth strip. 66% of the job done in terms of this stage of cleaning up the glue. This is gonna pay off big time though, because we know that the battery is gonna be we're gonna maximize its lifetime value, because probably due to this cleanup it won't heat up as much as if we had left the strips there. Okay, what I want to try is actually from this side, because the other side actually was very annoying, didn't want to give in. I want to see if there's any difference from this side. Nope. This part is really a workout. Let's see. Huh. Wow. This is just crazy. I might even need a coffee for this. Oh, but at this point, it's like the point of no return. We already did most of the work. So if we want that reward, I always encourage people for the high effort, high reward. You might wonder why, because it will make you so resilient from your mind. When you feel you're not being stopped by some obstacle, that you can just maybe take your time with things that most people would just give up with, or look alternatives. I'm not saying that at all times working harder it's better. I'm just saying that it might reward you more, in the sense of your ability to not give in to some situations, like obstacles presenting themselves as maybe you questioning if you should have ever even started doing this. Right? Should I have even started replacing this battery? I feel exhausted. Questions like this will come to your mind. Why didn't I buy Apple Care? No. Learning to do things on your own as much as you can. Of course, you cannot recreate a whole chip. You cannot. It's just the process is scientifically unbeatable by any standards of the imagination, by any extent of the imagination, sorry. But yeah, replacing a battery, it's not chip science, it's more like elbow grease, it seems. Okay, 7th strip. I would say 35% already. It really doesn't want to give in. It is just so glued. I might just want to take the chance to bring some alcohol here. But I might just mess up with connectors. I don't know what's this part, but the problem with liquids is that they might leak a little bit and then you're done. The good thing about alcohol is that it dries very fast, so as long as there's nothing powering the computer, there's not going to be short circuit, right? But then you will have to wait for some time before you plug things back in. And you don't want to do that. So talking about resilience, my mind's already playing me games. Playing games with me. It's already telling me maybe we should just leave at it and, just glue it on top of that. We're kind of like 48% on this strip, but it's been such a hassle. If only 4 more people were helping me do this at the same time, we could probably look at how annoying this is. And I've seen other people use like metallic tools for this, but then you will just brush the aluminum, which you don't want to do. So we're almost done with the 7th strip, and it's been like the most unpleasant experience I had in a long time regarding repair. Yeah, so far I would say it's done. I wish I could just be more thorough here, but it's just so attached to the material. It's crazy. I would say that only another metal would probably help getting the job done there. It's a little bit of insane. Okay. So I'm just keeping track of all the inventory here that I have. I don't lose any parts. And let's continue. 8th strip. So 75% complete, I would say. It's like a progress bar. And who likes that progress bar? On a very low latency connection. Or high latency, sorry. Let me spin this around. I guess that nowadays that everything comes unified in the SoC, system on chip. People won't even open machines anymore because unless you are really experienced with electronics, changing or trying to expand the storage or memory nowadays, it has become incredibly challenging even for the most experienced ones. And I watch the videos, but you really need some circuit soldering skills, which is not easy to acquire. It's not impossible for sure. You'll need lots of practice to know what you're doing. In the end, I don't know how much people actually will go through that. They will probably try to sell their equipment and try to get a new one with already the setup that they want, because also there's a lot of risk involved when it comes to expanding memory or storage on system on chip. It is just so crazy, the amount of effort going here. Believe me, after this strip, I am really considering leave the last one where it is, as it is, but of course, then all our principles will go to shit. All right, so this is already giving in a little bit at the end, and actually it's coming out cleaner than the first strip from the middle. This is just such an annoying material to work with. I'm sure there are better ways to do this. But at this point, we're almost done here. And yeah, I've never done this before on this kind of model. I've done this before for an older model. I believe it was easier. I didn't remove the trackpad that I can remember, but I also exposed myself to the damage of the trackpad. Luckily, nothing happened really, but because I think I started from the top, and then at some points I realized, oh, I ran a big risk while doing this without really knowing, and that I could have just completely fried the trackpad, and having a new one replaced will completely defeat the purpose of do it yourself. Well, right, we're, I would say, 90% now done. This is just like the last 100 meters on a triathlon. So we're pushing through. We're pushing through. My fingers at this point are completely wasted. I would probably recommend you to just glue it on top of the strips if you're not that much obsessed with efficiency. It will still work, and probably there might not be, the difference will be only a couple tens of cycles maybe of difference in the efficiency, because of course it will probably heat more, like it will capture heat, retain heat on the areas where the old strips were. But I don't think the difference will be too big. It just feels right to do this way. This is the clean way, right? For sure, I appreciate the gloves at this point. At the beginning, I thought, why gloves? But for this part, it was just a mess to not have the gloves. I don't know if you can appreciate. Yeah. This middle part doesn't really want to give in whatsoever. We're trying to approach from both sides now. Flanking. These are the last survivors of this war. They really want to clutch it, but they are just down on numbers, outnumbered. This is the last attack. We've now taken the city, seized them. Okay, so we have accomplished our objective. We have conquered the mountain. I'm really so satisfied that this part is just over. It was such a hassle. Okay, now we're gonna clean it up a little bit before we glue the new battery. Okay. Okay, so the first step probably will be to place the trackpad. This is a tricky one. Wow, it's really very dirty here. But it's a lot of the plastic that was used to force out the glued battery, old battery. Okay. So now we're almost there. Unfortunately, while I was showing someone else the trackpad, the plates that were on it, it had some metallic plates. Now are outplaced. So I have to figure out where they were. I'm just cleaning this up. Okay. So technically here there are these 3 plates. Why are there only 3? It looks like there should be 4. So here goes the first one. I assume that's where they go. And now we gotta find probably somewhere it fell. The last. Nowhere to be seen. And we're back now. So I found all of these small plates. These pieces, as I was researching, it helped the trackpad have that force touch feel when you click it. So if you ever lose or one of those, that's just not gonna feel right when you put it back in. You just gotta be really careful about how you place this back. Make sure that everything is there. Okay. So now that I aligned the trackpad with its position, I know that in this moment we can just probably screw this in once the battery is in place. So let's do that. Finally, the best moment. So we will want to first, as I said before, place the battery in the correct positions and just rehearse what you will do once you remove and see if everything sits correctly. So for my case, this is mostly right, except maybe for this side. It's stretching out a little bit here, but I would say it's perfectly fine. So yeah, as I said, we can proceed to glue this, since now we know that the trackpad's in place, everything is correct. So we'll proceed now with the removal of the strips one by one. Great. So now the chip must be in place. Yes. All of the batteries should be. There is this little frame though that must. Okay, yes, that's probably the hardest part. To make the frame, yeah, okay. It's kind of tricky. It's not that straightforward. Okay. So I think by now everything is correctly placed. The strips have been perfectly glued to the aluminum plate. Okay. So now the next step will be to remove this. This helps the whole battery just stay as a one piece while you place things where they are, where they should be. And now I'm just gonna locate the trackpad cable in its correct position, see that it can reach the connector. I connected it. This is also where I should start locating the screws. So let's reverse back to where we were. So we have 8 screws to hold the trackpad in place. Interesting. Let me first compare the sizes to see if there's any difference really. So I can see from the 8 pieces, they are all the same size. So there should be no problem putting them back in. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we got 4 here, 4 there, 8. There's a couple more that probably are part of this bottom. Is this one? There's one that's different width. Interesting. Okay, so let's first place these 8 screws, which are the exact same height. And once we're done, I'll proceed with these 2 other ones. Before I place all the 8, I'll probably do the corners, so this and this. And once it's done, I will try to open the lid to see if the trackpad's holding it in place, to verify that I actually did align correctly At this point, I already removed my gloves because based on the last procedure, they were a little bit sweaty. So basically my hands were suffocating. I think this is actually the right screwdriver, the green one, for this type of bolts, screws, sorry. Okay. So before I continue to replace the remaining 4 screws, I'll just see if the trackpad is nice. Okay. Seems that everything's so far so good. Now let's continue with this. Okay. Here we go. Very nice. Of course, don't try to screw them until applying force, just until you feel like the screws already has no more turns to give, because if you try to force it, you might break and then not being able to unscrew it. Hopefully there will be no more battery replacement for this computer ever again. Interesting. I'm actually not 100% sure if these screws are here. Actually not. There are 2 smaller ones that probably are. Yeah. Exactly. Very nice. Very nice. Okay. All right. So, next step is probably to put back together these screws. I remember that this one was the thick one. Yes. And this one it's probably this one. Yes, perfect. All right. So now that we got those screws in, it's actually very weird. There's another one here. But that one, I'm really hesitant. I will need to look back again to see which one goes here. Before we do that, let me think. Actually, now that I remember, this is not the one here. It was actually this one that had the water detector thingy. Yeah, something felt weird. Yeah, great. And this one had this rubber cap, and I can see a little bit the glue. So that's perfect now. Okay. Great, we're almost there. Now the trickiest part will be to reconnect the flex cable. And then screw everything back together, which is this part. Actually, we can do that first, since it's simpler. This is just a plate to keep the flex cable of the trackpad in place. That way, we just get the screws out of the way, the smaller ones. And then we are just left with the remaining screws for the bottom cover. Oh, this one for some reason is not magnetized, not sticking to the screwdriver, so I'll just place it in there. And it just somehow works. Hello? Am I taking crazy pills here? Okay. Okay. It seems that it's all right now. Probably this one goes here. But I'm not sure if this is after the... No. Okay. I guess it is like that. It makes sense. And now I guess the flex cable goes. This is I'm gonna need a lot more light for that, so bear with me. Okay, yes. Okay, so at that point we already replaced and connected back the flex cable. Just had to leave the latches up, and yeah, pretty much that's it. So now the last part is to put back the cover. So this is clean already at this point. So we'll just proceed as we did in reverse of, yeah, of the first step. Interesting. I guess I have to check from this side how this fits. Ah, I see. There are these things that need to go in. So that makes perfect sense. Oh, wait a sec. It needs to be very well aligned. Guess it's there. Oh. Haha, this one's tricky. It doesn't just easily align. Okay. Now it did. Wait. Perfect. Yes. Now I understand. Perfect. Okay. So now. Okay. Somehow. We gotta still figure out. Because this is not closing. Okay, it just needed a little bit of a push. I see. So on these sides there seems to be some hinges, or to some extent, that hold everything very nicely and tight, airtight. Perfect. So now the large screws, so these blue one I think is for the exterior, and the large ones, the large bolts, go on the back because there are only 4 of them. Oh, they go on the corners, and the shorter ones go in the middle, probably because of the trackpad. Technically I should check before I do this, because if it's for some reason it's not working, I will need to do it back again. Oh, interesting. Maybe the larger ones are in the middle? Nope. Oh. Ah, okay, the longer ones go really on the back. Yes, perfect. Okay. So this is not here. Yeah, this is the larger one. Perfect. Amazing. And now this one here. This one probably on the other corner. And the smaller ones in the middle. So technically these batteries come with a bit of a charge, because every battery should hold at least half of the charge while being in storage. It should not be full, neither empty nor full, to guarantee that while stored it's not losing any capacity. So technically we should be able to turn it on immediately, but of course we also have to check whether it charges. So first of all, we'll try to turn the computer on. And if it does, then it's already amazing. Great, so finally the moment of truth. Just open the computer and see if it turns on. Huh. Interesting. Okay, let me connect it now. Let me get the cable first and see what happens. Otherwise we'll have to reopen it and check the flex cable, the connections. And it should be fine, we'll just troubleshoot it. All right, and we're back in, and so what I did is basically I removed the cover again and checked the flex cable, just reattached it, and also made sure that all of the screws are not too tight, because that make probably create like some kind of not correct contact between the circuits. For some reason on Apple products I've noticed that when you screw too tightly the screws to chips, it might not work the same way. So anyway, it was, I think, mostly the flex cable that was not correctly attached to it, and now I know that the computer is turning on, because before I started putting the screws back together in the top case, sorry, the bottom case, the bottom cover, and it already turned on. I could see the image there, so I turned it off again before I started putting this back together. So now, after we do this, we have to check whether the trackpad is actually working correctly, because that will be probably the last step to verify. Okay, so now a moment of truth again. Okay, computer's turning back on. Now we gotta test whether it charges, whether the trackpad's working correctly, and what's the battery looking like, if it registers or charge. Okay, so okay. Okay, trackpad's working perfectly fine. Currently, battery is registering 66% of charge. Now we have to plug it in to see. All right, now it's looking like it's charging. Let's check what's the status of the battery in terms of battery health. And all right, condition of the battery, it says normal. All right, perfect. So that's pretty much it. And yeah, thank you for watching, and I hope this was useful to you. I will always encourage people to do it yourself. And I hope you enjoyed this new segment of my channel, which is Do It Yourself with Logus. Until next time.